welcome everyone to another episode of the DNA of Professional podcast. It's Tareka Wheeler, your career and work life strategist, and I am super excited because I have a phenomenal guest today, and we are going to be talking about your path. That's right, your career path, if you're even on the right one. So join me in welcoming to the podcast Miss Kanika Tolver. How are you, ma'am?
I'm good. How are you?
I am good. Thank you so much for joining us today. I have been thinking about this episode and having you on. You have really been inspiring for so many people, but especially for myself, because over the past few years, I've been kind of following and watching you in this space that you've created, especially on Twitter or X. And it's been awesome to see how you've been able to build community and bring folks together, especially those in the tech space, and being really intentional about those who you are pulling together and empowering day to day. So I already know this episode is going to be amazing. Let's jump in. Will you please introduce yourself and tell folks a little bit about you? And then we're going to jump in and start talking about are folks on the right career path. So tell us a little bit about yourself.
Hey, everybody. My name is Kanika Tolver. I'm from the Washington, D.C. area. I have spent over 18 years in the GovTech space. I currently work in the federal government as a product manager, so I work primarily with ServiceNow development projects, but I have been in tech for 18 years. I actually graduated from Bowie State University in Bowie, Maryland, in the DMV area. So it's a HBCU college. I'm a wife. I'm a sneaker enthusiast. I am the founder and CEO of Career Rehab, and I'm the author of an amazing personal branding book called Career Rehab. So I'm super happy to be here today.
I love it. I love it. I love it. So sneaker enthusiast. Are you one who's like standing in line all early in the mornings waiting for like the new J's to drop? Was that you, or do you like to get into specialty sneakers and ordering online? What's your thing?
I am more of a person that likes to order online. So I would say that I would not stand in line anymore. Those days are far gone. But I definitely would order from, different websites. I order from sneaker apps. Sometimes I order from, resellers, because if I don't get the shoe that I want when it comes out, sometimes I have to pay a higher cost. But yeah, I love to be, cute in my sneakers. I love to kind of be like a cool geek, I would say. It's kind of like my alter ego. So sneakers is a part of like my,
I love it.
Daily routine.
I love it. I have a sneakerhead in my house. My oldest son is a sneakerhead, and there's always a box showing up.
Yes, yes, yes.
Well, that's awesome. And then you said you've been in kind of this gov tech space for about 18 years. That's incredible. I want to tap into that later today. But one thing that I always ask any guest that comes on to the podcast is I ask them about their professional DNA. And you guys know, your professional DNA is your defined natural ability to succeed. So tell us, what's something that you feel is in your professional DNA? What's something that you feel is your defined natural ability to succeed? It comes just so naturally. It's just a part of who you are, but it's been helping you take your career to the next level.
That's a very good question. I think I have a couple different capabilities, but I think one of the things that has really set me apart in my career is that I've been able to understand how to connect with people. And I think that's on different levels, right? Like from leadership to end users and stakeholders to my peers. That has really helped me a lot because it's helped me navigate certain different challenges. It's really helped me expand my professional network. I would say that I network like a hustler. So I take every relationship and every new opportunity and every role, and I figure out a way to brand it for my benefit. So my DNA is always what's in it for me. I would say that I'm definitely a giver when it comes to like working uh, and being a good employee, but I'm always thinking about how can I leverage every new project, every new relationship, every new job title, every new task or responsibility for
Mhm.
the benefit of my personal brand. And I
Yeah.
think that that's how I've been able to stand out online, and that's how I've been able to stand out on my resume.
I love that. So a couple things. I know you see the words above my head. Hustle is one of them. And in this season, I said, I really want to talk about grind, confidence, and hustle, but what it means to us as professionals and us as individuals. And I love how you said, I approach this thing like a hustle. Like I'm thinking about how do I build and cultivate, but I'm thinking about like for myself in mind and where I want to grow. And I think sometimes when people hear that, they're thinking, oh, that's selfish. I want to give, give, give. But if you can't give all the time and not position yourself to grow and receive, and sometimes it takes a little hustle to do that, to
Yeah.
find like your, what's
Yeah.
your way, what's your approach to get it done. So I really like that. I really like that.
No, I definitely agree with you. We've been trained, or our parents have been trained to be loyal to the employer and to
Yeah.
be loyal to an organization. And I would say that my DNA is far beyond that. I would say my DNA is very detachable. I'm an Aquarius, so we're kind of easily detachable people. So,
Hmm.
I can
Hmm.
detach myself away from what's not working well
Yeah.
and find something that's working better for me. So I would say that's a part of my DNA.
Hmm. You talk about what's not working well. And I think, especially as we're talking about, are you on the right career path? So many people stay in roles, stay in companies that they've outgrown, right? Maybe from a skill set or, capabilities perspective. They've just outgrown the role and
Yep.
they're afraid to, ask for more or position themselves for more. So many people stay in organizations that just don't serve them anymore. It's not serving their purpose and what they want to do. But so they're no longer on the right path. They're just
Mhm.
sedentary, right? They're passive, they're settling and not really looking for where do I go next. And why do you think that is? Why do people sit and stay in places that is really not designed for them to be anymore?
I think it's a lot to do with fear and confidence. I think
Hmm.
that's really one of the bigger issues, is that it's easier to stay in something that's familiar.
Yeah.
And I think that
Mm-hmm.
familiarity delays progression.
Hmm.
And I think that when we stay in something that's familiar, even if it's not working out, even if we know that this career relationship is toxic, even if we know that this manager is toxic, we know that we can expect that every day when we show up. But the
Right.
fear of the unknown, of putting yourself out there and getting
Hmm.
a new job, or signing up for a job that you may don't completely know how it's going to work out, that
Hmm.
breeds fear, it breeds anxiety. And I
Yeah.
think that a lot of times we just stay because we know what's expected every
Yep.
day. And I
Hmm.
also think that a lot of it is because we have not conditioned ourselves and our mindsets to say, I have to learn how to be uncomfortable. I have
Mm.
to really figure out a way that even when I don't know everything on a job description, I'm gonna apply to the job anyway. Even when I feel like I'm scared to go on this job interview, I'm gonna go on the job interview anyway. Even when I'm not even looking for a job, I'm gonna go on the job interview. So I
Hmm.
think being
Hmm.
uncomfortable, it it is something that we have to condition our minds to say that being uncomfortable is going to create growth. It's
Yeah.
going to create new opportunities. It's going to
Hmm.
create new relationships. So I
Hmm.
think that's the most important thing that I've seen, even within my own career, is that I have anxiety, and I have to tell myself, man, if you did this before in the past, you can do that again.
Yeah.
We have to look at our past
Mhm.
accomplishments and stop
Right.
leaning into the fear, because there is something we already overcame
Right.
that we're missing. We haven't put that on our brag sheet, right? We
Yeah.
got a lot of things that we've been doing, but we have not been calling it out in a big way.
Yes, and so some of you are probably like, wait, brag sheet, what's that? She's dropping a lot of things. So first of all, brag sheet. If you don't have one, a brag sheet, a brag notebook, a brag post-it, you need a place where you are constantly documenting your successes, your wins, the things that you are accomplishing. big, medium, small. You need that. And I think that you need it. And I tell my clients this, so I'd love to hear your thoughts. I think you need it to one, help you build and maintain confidence. So you can always go back and say, okay, yes, this time is rough, but look what I did.
Right.
Look what I've been able to accomplish in the past or in the present or just this week. And then I also think it's a place where you're documenting to help you have conversations around compensation, around, wanting to take on that next project or wanting to, go after that next opportunity or position. It's kind of the cheat sheet that you get to refer to help craft those discussions and update your resume. So you're not trying to think about, what did I do? No. I can go to my brag book or my brag sheet, right? And I can pull it right from there. So is that how you think about brag sheet and how you utilize it? Are there other ways people can utilize the brag sheet?
No, I think you're spot on. I think that the brag sheet is leverage. It's
Yeah.
always going to be there for you to pull from.
Mm-hmm.
So, I'll use an example. So I got a new role within the same organization. They did a slight reorg. They wanted me to work on a new project recently. I was a project manager.
Mm-hmm.
They said, okay, we want you to work on IT service management project as a product manager. So
Mm-hmm.
a lot of the things that I was already doing as a project manager, a product manager can do as well.
Yeah.
But there are new responsibilities and activities that I am going to be learning, I'm going to be exposed to on this project. But
Mm-hmm.
because I had success being a good project manager, I said, you know what? I want to take on this new role as a product manager. I
Yeah.
want to learn how to, enhance user adoption. I want to
Mm-hmm.
learn how to um, build products that are going to be tested and are
Mm-hmm.
going to be accessible to the user community that we're serving on this project. It's
Right.
no different from what I did the last 15 years, probably, right? It's just a slight job title, but this
Mm-hmm.
job title is going to be leveraged because it's going to open up new opportunities in
Yeah.
a product space that I didn't know existed, that I was missing out on because I was so focused on being a project manager. So I
Yeah.
was, yeah, the brag sheet, it helps with the mindset shift
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
you need for any new role or any new project that you're going to be starting.
Yeah, I love that. And we are a little bit more, in common. So I'm a project manager. I got certified in my PMP 2019, and
Oh,
even now
congratulations.
in my career, yeah, that test is a bit of a beast. That was
It's
a
a beast. Yeah, I don't have the certification, but I heard that it's no
no
joke.
joke, no joke. But I got into government contracting space first and then really learn the value of what that could bring. And it has definitely helped me advance in my career. Like as we talk about career paths, my path has shifted, you know, drastically. I was working in healthcare and a hospital setting for almost 10 years and then came into working in like global nonprofits, still a little bit in the public health space, and then made a complete pivot and shift and started working in government contracting and strategic communications and IT and data science. But when I did that and got my PMP, I knew that I was now on the path that I really wanted to be on. I had been tinkering with project management since I was an executive assistant, back in like 2003 and 4, right? But in 2005, I started to really make a shift in doing things a little bit differently and being more intentional about listening to what it is that I truly like to do, what am I really good at, and how I wanted to move forward. So, as your book title, career rehab, I definitely think I took myself through a little bit of rehab and transformation and
Yeah,
got
I
to
think
this
we all
place.
have.
Yeah, so I would love to talk about that. First of all, guys, if you do not know, let me just say, I think her introduction was great, but I want you to know that you're talking to a little bit of a beast right now. Outside of being this author of the Career Rehab, which we're going to talk about that. She's a professional speaker. She is, always doing podcasts, speaking at companies, Fortune 400 and 500 companies like Bank of America, Amazon, Microsoft. Y'all heard of those? Couple places. She may have been in a couple rooms, been in a couple rooms and having a couple conversations, and really speaking to other professionals in this kind of professional development and career development and tech space, which I think is incredible, and giving you like all the flowers for what you are able to impart in others and the paths that you are creating for others. So that is amazing in itself.
Thank
And
you.
so that just is great. But I would love to talk about, educate us a little bit when you say career rehab. I want you to tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, so Career Rehab was birthed in 2014. I was actually going through career rehab myself. I had worked in a organization where I had 5 different managers, and I had only been there for 5 years. So I was going through a time where I was really trying to figure out what I wanted to do with my career. I decided to leave my federal government job and go into private sector, and I went to go work for a company by the name of Deloitte. And I was so brand new to working in the private sector. But before that, I decided to take about 6 to 9 months, and I checked myself into career rehab. And I started to really evaluate what are the things that I wanted to learn, what are the things that I did not know, what type of organizations that I want to be a part of. And I just said there was some things that I was dealing with at that last job where I had 5 different managers within a 5-year period that I didn't want to encounter in a future job. So I said I had to gut out some things that were going bad, and I had to put in some things that were going to be well for me. So I basically started to really work on my personal brand. I redid my resume. I put my resume up there on the internet, and all of these companies started, coming to me, from Booz Allen to Deloitte, and so many different government contracting companies started coming at me. And I just said, you know what? I can do this. So it really was about me giving my personal brand and my career the facelift or the revamp or the plastic surgery that I thought that it needed so I could go to the next level within my career. So that's kind of how I started to do that. And then I started coaching people, and then I would start helping them get jobs. And then I said, well, maybe I'm a career coach. And that's kind of how career rehab was birthed.
Tell us what you're thinking about what rehab means. Like, what is it that for you, why was that word so important, so intentional for you?
I would say that the word rehab is something that stemmed from my childhood, and it stemmed from my personal life. Growing up in the DC area, there were a
Mm-hmm.
lot of family and friends that became addicted to drugs. So I turned that negative aspect of rehab into a positive aspect for people's professional careers. So, when
Mm-hmm.
I think about growing up in the DC area, and family members and friends and people that I knew that were addicted to substance abuse problems, whether that was alcohol or whether they had drug addictions, I thought
Mm-hmm.
about like they would go into a 12-step program.
Mm-hmm.
But
Mm-hmm.
what I realized is that we as professionals have been addicted to toxic work environments. We have been addicted to
Mm-hmm.
staying in situations that we no longer needed to stay in. We've been
Yeah.
addicted to um, making career decisions that were not beneficial because we just was taking whatever was given to us. It's the same thing with a drug addict. If they continue to take the drugs, they can't get better. If we continue to take the things that are not serving us well, then our
Mm-hmm.
careers can't get better. So
Yeah.
rehab to me was more so about rehabilitation, more
Yeah.
about restoration. And I think that I felt like a lot of professionals could be in alignment with what someone with an addiction has. It's just that we were addicted to things that were low self-esteem, addicted to like, not feeling good about ourselves when it comes to our job search, our
Yeah.
interview skills, our negotiation skills. And it wasn't because we didn't want more for ourselves. It's just that we were taught just to take what was given. And
Yeah.
that's kind of how career rehab was birthed.
That's so, First of all, that's really deep. That's so good because I think and you talked about this earlier, like this fear and anxiety and being comfortable, and that is breeding content and also is breeding this addiction that we have to something that we feel like we cannot let go of it, instead of freeing
Yeah.
ourselves and being willing to take ourselves through a process to transform.
Yeah.
Transformation is scary.
Yes, and it's no different than a drug addict saying, "I have to go into rehab and I have to shake
Mm,
off this addiction of,"
right.
it's scary. So most people, they duck and dodge the rehabilitation or the transformation because it's gonna be
Hmm.
hard, it's gonna be scary,
Right.
it's the
Right.
unknown. It's, "Oh, now I have to commit." I have to
Right.
commit
I have
to
to do
that,
something with
right?
that.
I have to
Right.
commit to studying to get certifications. I have to commit to,
Mhm.
knowing how to update my resume. I have to commit
Yeah.
to knowing how to professionally network correctly and effectively so I can build relationships that are not a one-way street. So I
Yeah.
think that's really the reason why I named it that way, because even though I never had those types of addictions with substance abuse or drugs,
Yeah.
I felt like my mind had other addictions when it came to how I looked at my career.
Yeah. Ah, that's so good. And I think I hope you guys are taking this. And I didn't even remind you to get your notebook because by now but if you don't have it, go run and go get it because Kanika's dropping gems right now. If you think about it, what is it that you are just addicted to when it comes to your career? What are the things that have just gotten you so like nestled in that you're just almost refusing to budge because you're scared? There's anxiety. You don't know what's next. What if they say no? Well, what if they say yes?
Mhm.
What if there's a yes on the other side of that action, right? What if there's a yes on the other side of that transformation that we so need to be a little bit more uh, confident in taking that step?
Mhm.
I think so. Another question I was thinking about as you were talking, I I wonder why it's so difficult for women, especially Black women, to make these transformations. What is it that you feel? Because, as you've like just blown up in this gov tech space and have really positioned yourself, not just in the workplace, but also online and how you're engaging with others. And I can imagine that there's it's something, it's super inspiring to see you. And it's amazing that you are just, you know, as you talk about your personal brand, your personal professional brand and how you positioned yourself, you are doing exactly what you are wanting to achieve, which is to attract the right tribe of individuals that you are wanting to empower and educate and pour into. As a Black woman who wants to get into tech, what is it that you feel it holds us back sometimes in staying in those spaces that really, again, don't serve us anymore? That there is more out there for us. We are capable, we are qualified, but we don't want to move. What do you feel like that is?
I think the root of the problem is, for Black women specifically, is that sometimes there is things that are going on personally with us
Yeah.
that prohibits us from seeing ourselves successful within our careers. So,
Mm,
if we had to really be honest with ourselves, do we really, outside of our career, do we really feel good about ourselves?
yes,
Have
yes.
we
Yes.
healed from personal trauma? Have
Mhm.
we healed from childhood trauma? Have we healed from personal relationships? So I
Mhm.
feel like that, you know, when your life is right, your career will be right. And I feel like that
Say that. Oh my goodness. Say that again. When your life is right,
when your
your
life is
career
right, your
is
career
right.
will be right. And
Yes.
I think
Yes.
that we can do the impossible, or what we seem to think is impossible, because really
Mhm.
nothing's impossible, right?
Mhm.
Um,
Mhm.
when we focus in on, you know, before there's workplace trauma, there's personal trauma.
Agreed. Yeah.
And I
Agreed.
think that we need to take a look at therapy, we need to take a look at anxiety, depression, and stress, and really
Mhm.
figure out, like, how do I make myself whole before I see myself within a job?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
some people are doing the opposite and they're trying to find wholeness through a job.
Mm.
And
Mhm.
what's going to happen is when you try to find wholeness through a job, what's going to happen is it's going to expose that it
Yeah.
ain't really about the job. It's really about you feeling inside. Because
Yeah.
when you feel whole inside, you won't stay on a job that's no longer serving you. When you feel whole
Right.
inside, when it's toxic or when there's racism or sexism, or when you feel like you're being underpaid, you will move on because you
Mhm.
feel that good about yourself inside.
Yeah.
So I believe that for one, we need to have spiritual, emotional healing, and
Mhm.
then we can have this career rehab experience. If anybody has read my book, I don't start the book off talking about jumping into career rehab advice. I talk
Mhm.
about the self reflection and career rehab diagnosis. So I
Yes.
think for brown and black women is that, um, and there's going to be workplace trauma, even if you feel whole. But I
Uh-huh.
guarantee you, if you feel whole or you feel good about yourself, you are not going to stay there for 10 years.
Right. Right. Not only are you not going to stay there for 10 years, but you also will get to a point. There's some things that are non-negotiable that you just will not tolerate.
Yeah,
Right. So you also begin to be a self advocate and you will speak up for
for
yourself
yourself.
differently, right?
Yep.
Because you are whole. Oh my gosh, that's so good. So first of all, if you do not have her book, definitely go to show notes. It's there, link
Yep,
to
you
it.
can purchase it on Amazon.com.
Awesome. Awesome. Because let me tell you something. So many times I think in this professional development, career development journey, people want to start with, oh, I need my resume redone. Or, oh, let me update my LinkedIn. And don't get me wrong, I all of those things could be a part of the process, but you have to start with self. And
Yes.
you have to do some self-reflection to really think about. And I talk with clients about this. I talk about this when I'm speaking. You have to do some self-reflection and look inside. And I love that your book starts there because you cannot start to transform when you are so stuck in something that's holding you back, your past, your
Yep.
current trauma, the current challenges that you're dealing with. And I love how you said, like, when life is right, right, you actually can start to make some progression in career. But if there's a ton of things that are happening and you don't feel whole right now, it makes it so challenging. And I've seen that on my teams where I can tell that someone is going through it.
Yes. And
And
I've
it's
gone through things. You've gone through things. We
yes,
all have.
yeah, and it's not because they told me. I can see it through their performance. I can see it through the way they, maybe they approach a project, right, or a task or an assignment, because that's not how you used to approach it. That's not how you used to go about it. So I think you're right that those two things connect, and I like to think that we have one life, and you have these personal activities, you have professional activities, and there has to be a sense of work life harmony between what it is you are doing personally and what it is you're doing professionally. Trying to achieve work life balance just adds another layer of stress, adds another layer of anxiety because you can't go 50-50. You can't. It's almost impossible. So I love that you tap on that. It's you gotta start with self first.
Yeah. It's
You
an
gotta start.
inside job and it will radiate outwardly once you figure out that inside job. And
Mm,
Um, I mean, I've had my own personal challenges. Lord knows I've had. But I think as I've gotten older, I've started to like put myself in front of the job. And you don't
yeah,
have to state that to the job.
right.
You have to just live that
Live it.
in
Yes,
some way, right? You have to create those boundaries. It's none of their business how you work with yourself,
right,
right? But I
right.
think it's important to do those things. And I think it'll help your personal brand and
Hmm.
it will help you navigate future challenges on the job.
I love it. I love it. So let's say I've done that self reflection. I've taken a look inside. I am ready to make a change. Right. I'm ready to kind of get on the right path. I'm ready for the transformation. What are the top three things you would say to a professional who's ready? They're like, you know what? I'm listening, and I know I'm not on the right path. Y'all got me thinking. I know I'm not on the right path. What are the top three things that you would say are kind of the next steps? I'm ready to transform. I've done the self reflection. What's next for me?
I think the next step is to really figure out, once you if you have or have not identified what the career path is going to be, right?
Mhm,
So after that self-reflection process, you figure out what you want to do. It's important, number one, is to create a network for your future and not your past. So
mhm.
you're going to need a whole new squad.
Yeah,
That means mentors, maybe a career coach, maybe other people that are in the career path that you desire to go down. You're going to need a whole new squad of people to run with. So if you're trying to go down a different path, you can't run with the people that you were running with at the job that you no longer want to do anymore, because they're not going to be able to help you get to the next level. So I always tell people, create a brand new professional network. The second thing is that you want to make sure that you start to identify what skills, what technologies, what methodologies, what are the things that you know you really need to work on, you have a knowledge gap on, and you want to focus in on spending time on developing those skill sets. Because once you identify your path, there's going to be some qualifications that you're going to need for that new path. And you may spend 6 months, 9 months, 12 months working on those new skill sets. But guess what? Don't try to compare your journey to someone else's journey. It may take somebody 6 months, it may take you 12 months. So identify those skill sets and maybe identify some certifications or some certificate programs that could leverage and help you be qualified for those new roles. And the last thing is you want to do is, once you identified a successful professional network, you've started to work on your skill sets. Now it's time to really focus on the rebranding. And that's the rebranding of your resume, that's the rebranding of your LinkedIn profile. And that's when I feel like you can start to like move in the right direction to apply to jobs, because now you have people that are supporting you. You have
yeah,
skills that are going to support your new path, but now it's time to really focus in on making sure that you're showing up online so people can easily identify with the new path that you decide to go down. Those people that have been supporting you can maybe help you get a new job, refer you
right,
in for an opportunity, or
right,
they can be able to look at your LinkedIn profile and resume and provide you some feedback that will help you be able to leverage those transferable skill sets into your new path. So those
yeah.
would be the three things that I think would be very important to do when you're first starting out.
I love that. I love that. And here's the thing: those steps, when I hear you say them, they seem so practical and so, but yet so strategic. Notice I didn't say easy, guys, but
They're not easy.
they're
They're
not
not
easy.
easy. I wouldn't say easy because I never want to say that any of those things are easy.
Yes, but they're so practical. Like as you talk about them, it's like, yes, my tribe needs to look different. The people I connect with needs to be different. I need to take a look at my skills. What do I have? What do I need? Yes, I need to make sure that the way I'm showing up is the way that, I want others to be introduced to me. And I say this all the time. And in a previous episode, we were talking about personal and professional branding. And I said, you may think people see you one way and they do not. And you control your personal and professional brand. It is important that people interact with you in a digital space before they even speak to you. Quite frankly, they do it anyway. So
Yeah.
you've got to show up and position yourself accordingly, because before you get to an interview, people believe that they already know who you are.
Yeah, you have a digital footprint. And it
Exactly.
leads people to recruiters follow that digital footprint to you to get to call you for a phone screening.
Yeah.
So if your digital footprint is not clear, concise, and unambiguous about where you're trying to go, it's
Hmm.
going to be very difficult for people to identify, are you in alignment with this job description or are you not in alignment? So I think
Hmm.
it's important to, rebrand the resume and your online presence and be very clear. One thing that I said in another interview that I did
Hmm.
recently is that I look at rebranding the same way I look at celebrities and companies and how they rebrand. And
Hmm.
with our careers, we have to look at ourselves the same way. So it has to have the three M's. So
Okay.
it has to have clear messaging. Your brand has to have clear messaging,
Okay.
clear marketing, intentional with your marketing, and
Mm-hmm.
and when you have those two things, you will be able to monetize. So
Yeah.
without clear messaging, without clear marketing, you can't monetize in a business and you can't monetize in your career. So
Yeah.
people need to know specifically, what are you known for?
Mm-hmm.
You need to be marketing yourself through LinkedIn,
Mm-hmm.
through other social media platforms if you desire to do that.
Mm-hmm.
And guess what? When you have your resume, your LinkedIn profile, you may have articles that you've written, a portfolio. You can monetize off of that because people are going to know that you are the real deal and you can get these job offers that you desire.
Yes, messaging, marketing, and monetize. 3 M's. I know y'all got that. Messaging, marketing, monetize. The 3 M's. And I don't know about you, but a lot of us, well, we definitely are giving back. We are, serving in nonprofits. We're giving back to our communities. We care about social impact. But I know I don't work for free. So
I don't know if you see my recent LinkedIn profile, but sorry, my LinkedIn post, I should say. I don't I don't work for free at all.
no.
So I don't coach for free, I don't speak for free, I don't teach for free. And I
Mhm.
don't think any of y'all that's watching wants to work for free. So if you have clear messaging and marketing, people will see that you need to be paid for your services.
Absolutely. And I like to say that I'm also not like a vehicle, so I don't depreciate. Right?
If you're working on your skill sets, you're always going up, right?
That's right. That's right. And I think that's something that we have to really think about as we're looking to go through this transformation, as we're going down the right career path now, and we're committed to this thought of career rehab, that we're going up. That transformation, that shift, that change is to go up.
For
So I
sure.
want to talk about one more area before we wrap up here, and that's this GovTech space that is booming. The
Yeah.
tech world in itself is booming, but in the public sector, you're just starting to see such a huge convergence between technology and how that is advancing what's happening in the federal landscape. ServiceNow, I know, is a space that a lot of people, first of all, didn't even know what it was at one point. But now that they know what it is, I think a lot of people are trying to get into it and understand like how they can grow their careers or enter perhaps into the tech space. But through that, can you just shed a little bit of light on kind of your thinking of how the gov tech space is growing and where people have opportunities to tap into the space of service now?
Yeah, for sure. So, for those that don't know what GovTech is, it's it's a term. It's kind of new to some people.
Yeah.
I want to shout out my friend Simone Bees, who is one of the she's an influencer who focuses strictly on creating content for GovTech,
Hmm.
um, and helping other professionals get into the GovTech space. But it's an industry within government where we focus in on technology positions. So you can be in the GovTech space and work directly for the federal government, or you can work as a government contractor. So I've
Hmm.
been on both sides of the table, and GovTech is growing so fast because of the company layoffs. Let's just be
Yeah.
honest that we saw a lot of companies within the last, 2 years, year and a half. We saw a lot of technology companies last year and the beginning of this year. We saw a lot of major
Hmm.
Fortune 500 companies do massive layoffs and startups and smaller organizations. So
Hmm.
now people are flooding the market with applying to GovTech roles because it's a recession proof career. The
Hmm.
government fully funds our salaries in these roles. And also, it's an opportunity for you to be able to work at so many other amazing government contracting companies that are paying very well, sponsoring government clearances. That's a
Yep.
new it's not a new thing, but it's a more popular thing that
Mhm.
applicants are eagerly seeking to do because once you get the government clearance, I have government clearance, you can literally go from company to company to company. You can get more bonuses. You can get more opportunities just to thrive, as I would call. I started dating jobs when I got into the government consulting space, because once I got my security clearance, I had all these companies just offering me all this money, because I was a clear professional. So I started dating jobs and going from government contracting company to government contracting company, and able to make, $35,000 more than I had at the last job. And I
Right.
was able to just build these skill sets extremely fast, and I was able to just be in demand. I think that's what guns,
Yeah.
it
Yeah.
provides an opportunity for you to have a clearance, but also for you to acquire skill sets that people acknowledge and they will want to hire you. So
Right.
I think it's going to become more competitive.
Yeah. Absolutely. Absolutely.
Really, the job market is competitive, but for what I'm hearing is that HR departments are having triple more applicants for job announcements because of the state of the job market right now.
Yeah. You hit on something. You on two things that I want to be sure y'all didn't miss. She didn't say she was married to jobs or she was in a long-term relationship. What that was is that she started dating jobs. And I think there's a period of time, I truly believe, honestly, that it was frowned upon to go from company to company, right? Someone wouldn't dare want to leave their job unless they had been there for 5 years or, 8 years, 6 years. They got into this place of, I need to be committed. And I think you talked about it earlier, this loyalty. And it does not make you disloyal because you see opportunity for advancement. It does not make you disloyal because you have been approached because of your skill sets and your capabilities, and someone sees an additional value in what you can bring to their company or to the table. And so many times I hear from people, oh, but I've only been here 2 years.
If you read my book, you'll definitely know that 2 years is one of the deciding factors to definitely move on. As I've always said, as people who followed me for the last couple of years, the job is friends with benefits. So
Yes,
we are not here to play around, right? I'm married to the dream, which is my personal brand, my business, my books, my speaking engagements, and all the other business opportunities that I plan on working on. I'm
yeah,
dating the job because the job helps fund my lifestyle. It funds my business. The benefits is that I get a nice six-figure salary. I get health care. I'm
hmm,
able to do things with my family,
yeah,
travel, but
hmm,
at the same time, I'm also expanding my professional network as a benefit.
yeah,
I'm learning new skill sets. I'm taking training, right? I'm
hmm,
working on complex projects. And
yes,
what those things are their intellectual property, but the skills and the knowledge, it still belongs to me.
that's
So
right.
I'm waiting that job to build my brand to go to the next relationship to get more benefits, more benefits. We're not going to the next job to get lateral benefits. We're going to get more benefits. So
Yeah,
that's and I want people to understand that job hopping is not to be seen as a negative thing.
right.
We are crying and upset and feel so bad for people that's being laid off, but at the same time, they don't care when they lay you off. So why should you care when you're dating the job and you decide to move on?
Come on. Yes. And I think, again, it comes with it's almost like we feel like we have to versus I want to. And there's a choice, right? I don't have to stay. I want to stay because I'm provided with X opportunities or benefits that are going to serve me well, right? And if I want to stay longer, 5 years. Some people may say 10 years. Some people may say, you know what? I'm going to be the next COO at this company. I'm going to be the next VP. I'm going to be the next CEO. If that's the trajectory of your career and you know that you're in the right career path and in the right company to do that, and you have a clear ladder, go for it. Right?
Yeah,
But
that's a
go
great
for
point. Th-
it. Go for it.
That's a great point. I wanted to add on to that really quickly is that there are going to be times when you find the job that is the right fit.
Right.
And you may have been searching for the right company culture, the
Mhm.
right benefits, the right leadership, the right types of technology and
Right.
projects that you wanted to be exposed to. If you find that situation, we in a long-term relationship at that point.
Yes.
And there's nothing wrong with staying for 5, 6, 7 years because guess what? Some of us have been in situations where we've been longing for a long-term relationship.
Right.
There's been
Exactly.
some really bad situations. So
Yeah.
it's okay to commit to that long-term relationship, but I
Right.
always keep it in the back of my mind that anything could change, a reorg, leadership could change, I could change, my personal
Yes.
life could change, and guess what? I may have to move on, and that's okay
Right.
too.
And that's okay too. Exactly. And that's what I'm saying. It's like you have the ability to choose your path,
Yep,
and you have the ability to change your path.
yep.
And you should not feel bad about it. And I'll say I've been there. I've been there where I stayed longer than I should have and stayed in a toxic work environment because I was like, how am I going to leave? I'm committed to the mission. I'm committed to, those that I'm serving. Yes, I'm not happy. Yes, I'm having anxiety. Yes, I feel like it's impacting my mental health, but the job, and I had to break myself of that, right? Talk about a transformation and rehab. I don't, the book wasn't there yet. Okay. So I had to break myself of that. And I said to myself, I will never again. My professional journey, my career path cannot be about the company. And it has to be about me and what I desire. What is the vision I have for my life? What are the places I want to be? Where do I want to go in the next 10 years, 20 years? And how is my professional journey supporting that? What is
Yeah.
it that I want to do in the entrepreneurial space as I'm building my business and building legacy long term for my family? What does that look like?
Mhm.
Right? And where's the convergence between that and my career? And how can I do both? And I had to get incredibly strategic about doing it. So there was a big transformation, and it started right here.
Yeah, it starts with the mind. It starts
Mhm.
with the mental. And I can't stress this enough is that we have to lock in and get our mind right.
Yeah,
And that's way before you focus on the career aspect of things. And
1000%.
we've said that earlier in this conversation. So I would say, your DNA, your professional DNA, it goes beyond,
Mhm.
your resume and your LinkedIn profile. It's really
Right.
about getting your mind right and getting your
Yeah.
life right because that's the most important thing that you have.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I 100% agree with you.
Love it. I love it. I love it. Well, I tell my guests, I can keep y'all like all day. But I know we want to get out of here, and I want to wrap this up. I'd love to hear from you two things. One, if you could just impart one valuable piece, one valuable little nugget and gem for the listener today around them thinking, are they on the right career path? What would you say to them? And then before you realized that you had to have a career transformation, what would you have said if you could go back and you could talk to pre-transformation, pre-rehab Kanika? What would you have said to her? So, what would you say to the one listening today? What would you have said to you before this type of shift in this thinking that has gotten you clearly in places where you want to be?
um, what would I say to younger Kanika? Because this is a 10-year journey, right? This
Yeah.
all started in 2013, 2014. So I
Hmm.
definitely would say that don't be scared, I would definitely say that fear is definitely something that delayed a lot of the things that I've wanted to do, and it still gets me, honestly. I mean, I have to be honest, it's still something that gets me down sometimes. But I would say to people who are trying to figure out their path, or my older self, I
Mm-hmm.
would definitely say that turn your anxiety into accomplishments. That's
Mm.
what I would tell my younger self, as someone who struggles with anxiety and still struggles with anxiety to this day, that I would say turn the things that you've already accomplished and the things that you want to accomplish. Take that anxious feeling, those anxious thoughts, those anxious moments, um,
Mm-hmm.
turn it into an accomplishment. And when I say that, I mean, instead of worrying about whether you're going to do well on a job interview, go prepare. Instead
Yeah,
of worrying about whether you can transition into tech, start transitioning into tech.
yeah, love
Start
it.
the
Love it.
path, start studying for it.
Yeah,
Instead of worrying about whether you are going to be scared to leave the job that's toxic,
yeah.
start going to job fairs, start going to meetups,
Mm-hmm.
start going to virtual job fairs, start talking to other professionals at other companies that are in alignment with where you're trying to go. The
Yeah,
anxiety, I'm telling you, it will kill your progression. But think about, what action can I take to turn it into an accomplishment?
I
And
love
I
that.
say, what was the second question you said about
What would you say to the so you hit it. What you want to say to yourself? What would you say to young Kanika? And what would you say to the listener now who's trying to really, get on that right path and shifting and changing anxiety into accomplishment? Like that's good.
Yeah, and the last thing that I wanted to say, are you looking at yourself as an employee, or are you looking at yourself as a brand? So I
Mm.
talk about in the book about the mindset shift, and this goes back to what we talked about earlier.
Mm-hmm.
An employee mindset is someone that goes to work and just do what they're told. They stay
Mm-hmm.
in their cubicle. They stay in those
Simple box.
constraints within their job description.
Mm-hmm.
They wonder why they're not growing. They're wondering why they're getting overlooked. They're wondering why they're not getting promoted. And they're wondering why they're not able to feel confident to go and get another job. So
Mm-hmm.
shift your mindset into being a brand. A brand is someone that looks at themselves as a product or service.
Yeah.
They
Yeah.
have something unique that they offer, and
Mm-hmm.
they are constantly working on themselves. They got this secret sauce, like I say with Chick-fil-A. Chick-fil-A is like one of the best brands that do it, right? They
Yes.
have chicken, and they have 5 different sauces, and they got chicken tenders, and they got a chicken sandwich, and they got chicken nuggets, and they got this secret sauce, and their secret
Right.
sauce is that Chick-fil-A sauce,
Yeah.
and they got multiple different other sauces. There are a brand. As an employee, we need to figure out, what is our secret sauce? What is our recipe? What are the
Yeah.
unique things that we offer? And
Mm-hmm.
when we do that, we can own our career path.
I love that. I love that. Are you in this employee mindset or are you a brand? And I know the answer to the question for myself because I'm a brand, right? A whole brand. When I show up, you get the full package, right? And that brand has evolved over years and is strengthened over years, just like companies do,
And the
right?
whole key word that you said was the evolution, right? And
Yes.
guess what? There's somebody watching that's saying, you know what? I'm still have an employee mindset. Guess what? Most of us did.
I did.
did too, I'm like, oh, I'm just gonna, be a good government worker, right? But I
Right.
said, you know what? I want more for myself. I want to
Yeah.
be able to like be flexible enough to leave when I want to leave. And that was
Yeah.
a branding mindset that
Yes.
that had to it had to be a shift, right? It had to be time to grow and evolve. I always
Yeah.
tell people, you're gonna dissolve
Uh-huh.
if you don't evolve.
Yeah.
You are
Yeah.
really going to dissolve. And people be like, well, nobody acknowledges me at work, and nobody, because you're sitting in the back of the room. You're not sitting at the table.
Down.
You know, you got your head down. You don't want to work on any new projects. You don't want to step up to lead. You're dissolving. You're not evolving.
Yes. 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 Oh my goodness. Yes. So clearly, guys, you have some homework, right? You need to be thinking about your messaging, your marketing, and monetization. And if you do not have this book, Career Rehab, by now you should have already paused, ordered, and came back. But if you've not done that, that's okay. Be sure that you grab this book, because if you think this conversation is tapping into some things that you need in order to really shift your career path and get into the right direction, that book is going to take you to a whole nother level. How can people stay connected with you?
So everyone can stay connected to me at my website is kanikatolver.com. So if you want to reach out to me, you can definitely shoot me a message through kanikatolver.com. If you want to connect with me on all social media platforms, my social media handle on Twitter, LinkedIn, Instagram, YouTube is at Kanika Tolver. You see the consistency, at Kanika Tolver. So, I look forward to connecting with everyone. I'm on Twitter and LinkedIn the most, probably. That's where you find me, on those Twitter
Get
streets.
on Twitter, guys. The Twitter/X streets. Get
Yeah,
it.
I'm sorry. I keep calling it Twitter,
I
but
know,
it's
all the
yeah,
time.
yeah,
Get there. Get there. And be enjoying the conversation, because Kanika is there and she's engaging and she's talking, and she's not just a figment of the imagination. And there's such a huge community there that she has built. So I encourage you to get there, follow her on LinkedIn, engage with her, get the book, and be sure that you take the time to look inside and reflect, understand what is your professional DNA, understand where is it that you want to go, why do you want to go there, and then start taking the steps to do it. And think about how you're messaging about yourself. How are you marketing yourself? And how are you monetizing? You can choose to change and put yourself on the path for success in your career, but you have to be willing to make that transformation. And that's what today has honestly been all about. I thank you. I thank you. I thank you. I thank you for joining
thank you
us
for having me.
today. Oh my goodness, this was such a good conversation. I really do thank you. And guys who are listening, be sure that you are engaging and following with me on Instagram, Tareka_the strategist. Be sure that you're tapped into the podcast. You know that this is our season 4. We are on YouTube, so be sure you go and you subscribe there. We're on all major platforms. Social platforms, but also on all major podcast platforms as well. And then you already know, guys, what I want to say to you. You have everything inside of you to be your best and your unique self. And that's your professional DNA, your defined natural abilities to succeed. Until next time, everyone. Bye.
Bye-bye.